Happy New Year's. I guess that's a couple weeks old, but welcome back to the Northern Nerdcast. We've been chomping at the bit to get this going. Clayton actually messaged the group earlier and said, hey, it's supposed to be a weekly thing. And I was like, shit, you're right. But welcome back. This is the first podcast of 2022. And that being said, I wanted to get you guys in on this to talk about our predictions for video games this year, what we would like to see. I know Adam and I kind of did this in December, November, but not really. It was just like a brief prediction on another episode. I can't remember which one that is, but
what about stuff we don't want to see?
Yeah, we can we can definitely predict stuff that we don't want to see.
I'll bring the dark side,
but it actually works. Where Clayton's wearing the Xbox red, I'm wearing the Xbox green. I'm sorry, it's the red ring of death. I'm wearing Nintendo red, but I'm not the Nintendo guy. So, but
Sony red.
Sony red, I guess. Sure, why not? And like each of us has strengths in each of those fields of the big three. So, just in general, what I think 2022 is going to be a massive year for gaming in general. Like, it's just, there's so much coming. There's so much rumored stuff that's coming. So you know what? Let's just jump right into it. I'm going to start off big. Big for me anyways. Do you guys think that we will see God of War Ragnarok this year? And the reason that I ask is we already know that we're getting Horizon Zero Dawn. It's coming next month. And again, here we go with the shout outs to ITG, but Drew is like on that every day. He's always, 34 days, 33 days. We're already getting a AAA title from Sony. Now, that being said, God of War has a placeholder for September 30th. I have never heard of a game that doesn't have an official release date with such a random month. Usually it's December 31st, 2022, but this is September 30th, 2022. If this game does come out, like, that's two massive AAA titles, because we already know Final Fantasy 16 has been delayed into next year. Square Enix came out and said, due to the pandemic, it's not happening this year. We really wanted to have some stuff for you guys to see, but you've got arguably two of Sony's biggest games, one for sure coming out, one potentially coming out. Do you think that September 30th is a placeholder date, or is that Sony trying to be like, yeah, it might come out, but it might not, but then it actually is September 30th?
I could see it. I remember, I think again in the ITG Discord, I think even Drew was saying
ITG Daily. Come on, you got to get in on that Discord page. Drew, you got to put us on your payroll,
Discord.
Man.
What's Discord?
Get that ITG money. Yeah, what's the Discords?
What's Discord?
But I believe there, Drew was saying, that would put it in basically on like the last chance for it to end up coming in and be a Game of the Year runner by coming in just before the Game Awards are announced. So September 30th could very well be a placeholder, and like you said, it does start to fall just into that, people are buying it and putting it away for Christmas time. Things like that.
It's right on the outer rim. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, not going to be on the outer rim for me. If it comes out, it's getting unwrapped and it is going in my system. I don't care.
You start to see those kind of games in like September, October. So what did you say? The place date was what? September 31st?
Yeah, 30th.
Yeah, it's possible, right? Like Christmas is coming up. It's got to be a big year for Sony. Like everybody's doing what they can.
Yeah.
They continue to pound Microsoft into the dust with, their lack of exclusives.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that, because again, like I'm not a Microsoft, like I have Game Pass, like I said, but on PC, I don't hate it. If I can find an Xbox, I don't want a Series S. I've decided if I'm gonna do a Series S, I've got my laptop. It's got what it is. But if I can find a Series X for retail or slightly above retail, then I'll definitely pick it up, because but like Starfield's coming. You've got Elder Scrolls, Fallout. I guarantee you Fallout's going to be an Xbox exclusive. You don't spend $8 billion on a AAA studio like that to say, Sony can have it. Like we got Deathloop because it was an agreement before the purchase. It was still in development. And there's another Tokyo Ghostwire is another one that's coming, timed exclusive for a year. But I'd definitely jump on an Xbox if I was able to find one. So it's right. Like
my Christmas pickups, and nobody knows this yet. Spoiler alert. I got a Halo edition Xbox Series X for
a hard
Christmas.
One to find. Like they're already hard to find, but that is the hard one to find.
Which is awesome, and it's good, and it's got a whole bunch of cool bells and whistles. Like I got to basically transfer everything over from my Xbox One via cloud, all of my save data, everything. It did it all seamlessly. But the only thing is that there's really nothing that you can get on the Series X that you can't get on the Xbox One.
And that's the same with the PS4 and PS5.
Yeah, no. You guys have pretty sure Returnal isn't.
Well, you have so you have Returnal.
But you have those. You know what I mean? You have those games, and we don't have any of those games yet. And I mean, they do run better. The load times on older games are ridiculously fast. It's awesome in that way. But yeah, just there's really nothing yet to separate the X from the One.
Well, like I said to you, you're saying that Flight Simulator isn't that go-to title that it's only a Series X versus it didn't come to the One. But
you know what, and I never saw that. So props to you for that. I will definitely check that out, because I like Microsoft Simulator flight simulators. They're fun. They're hard.
I don't know that it holds the grounds that.
No. Sony has all of these awesome exclusives coming out, and they've always had like this really solid stable of exclusives. And it seems like every gen they keep on stacking more and more onto it. And Xbox is like, we have Forza. You guys can't keep beating that same drum. Yeah. Like, you're buying up all of these studios. Let's get these exclusives rolling.
And that's the one thing I think Sony did. Like, everyone was like, oh, there's because when Microsoft purchased ZeniMax, Bethesda, and Arcane Studios and all that, everyone was like, oh, the buying war is going to start. And I mean, so they got a massive acquisition. Their hats off to Microsoft, because nobody ever thought that Bethesda was going to just go one way, and they did. But then you've got Sony got Housemarque. They got they're all like these AA, maybe AAA studios, but they are putting out some bangers. And again, Returnal is not a game for everybody. No. I'm having a blast with it. I mean, it is hard as balls. So like, if you get a PS5, definitely pick it up, because it's that
I
style.
Want it.
It's your style of game.
Yeah. I want that.
Deathloop is another one that's not for everybody. I was talking with Drew a couple days ago, and I gave it a second shot, and I second shot it back on the shelf. not because I don't like it. Like, it is like when Adam and I talked with Jason Kelly, the writing is incredible. The voice actors are amazing. Obviously, him and Ozzy got nominated for Best Actor and Best Actress at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, when you die and you get one chance to do it all over again, and then if you die, you start right back at the very beginning. You've lost all of your stuff. If you run out the day cycle, you start all over again. Yeah. Your Colt does remember from the previous loop. Same with Returnal, but you have to reacquire all of those abilities. And I did not like that. Like, if I'm going to play a game, something like that, and again, we're off topic here, but that's like, I want to be able to keep all that stuff to make the next part more difficult. Not more difficult, but easier, in the sense that I still have all my equipment. Like, Fallen Order was a roguelite game. If you had that even on medium, you were having your ass handed to you. You had to learn from all your stuff. But anyways, like, you have all these titles from smaller studios that Sony's doing, and like Xbox bought Bethesda, and the only game that's coming from Bethesda this year is Starfield.
Yes.
Like everything else is out.
And I'm worried about Starfield. Like, just putting it out there. The quality on lots of Bethesda's high profile titles over the last couple of years. And you know what? For a long time, actually, Oblivion had a bunch of crap bugs on it. Skyrim, when it came out on the PS3, had a completely broken save
backward flying dragons.
Yeah, the mammoths that used to bounce up into the air like 1,000 feet. Yeah, it was awful, but they fixed it in post.
Yeah.
But it gets a little bit worse with every one, which culminated with Fallout 76, which was absolutely just garbage.
And now it's better.
And now they fixed it, but the public perception of Fallout 76 is still, oh, wasn't that like the really terrible online Bethesda game?
Look at Cyberpunk.
I mean? Yeah, Cyberpunk, even No Man's Sky for the PlayStation 2 as well. It's the same thing, right? The public perception is bad, and it takes a long time to come around from that. Starfield, I'm worried about. I want to be optimistic about it, and I am optimistic about it. I'm also tempering that optimism with a reality. You know, I'm like, yeah, what's happened in the last couple of years? We've had a couple of high-profile flops from some really like notable studios. Anthem from BioWare, CD Projekt Red's 2077 debacle. You know what I mean? Like, and Bethesda is not beyond that kind of thing. So, I guess that could be my prediction for the first. That's my first big prediction.
Is it Starfield's going to flop or not flop?
Not going to flop. It's going to have a less than stellar launch. It's going to have a rough launch. Because it's a completely new IP. People aren't going to give it the grace. Bethesda's just coming off of a poor launch of 76.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's fair.
I'm reading the tea leaves and it just seems like it's all there.
Yeah. I mean, it's you know what? Like, I'm probably going to get raked over the coals for saying this, but Starfield, it just, all the choices and everything, it really reminds me of it's a Bethesda version of Mass Effect. That's how I see it. You're in space, you have a ship. I mean, I'm just basing it off what I've seen, and we haven't seen much. Like,
have you ever played Elite Dangerous?
No. Okay,
Elite Dangerous is a PC game turned console game. Microsoft, I believe it's only on Microsoft. And it's basically what Star Citizen, Star Citizen. It's basically what Star Citizen is. It's this complete, persistent, open galaxy. It's got all the stars. You can jump through the entire Milky Way. I'm hoping that Starfield is more that and less Outer Worlds.
I loved Outer Worlds, man.
I loved it too. I loved it too, but it was a 30-hour game set what was supposed to be in space, but it ended up just being, a planet. And
yeah, you know what I mean? That's true. That's
like
fair.
It was like a totally grounded space game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True, because there was no space, like there was no like shooting in ships or.
I don't want that. I want to be able to jump between stars. Now, I'm serious. If you haven't played Elite Dangerous, like it is Microsoft Flight Sim in space. Like the whole Milky Way is your playground. It's crazy. There's something like 14 billion stars you can go to. It's ridiculous. I remember when I was waiting for No Man's Sky, actually, I was playing Elite Dangerous, and I got it when it was in Microsoft Early Access, and then I kept on playing it, and it's just unbelievable, that game. It's funny though, you never hear about it. I think because it often gets overshadowed by Star Citizen because the hype around Star Citizen. But Elite Dangerous is awesome.
It's available on Windows, Mac OS, but it's not supported Xbox One and PS4. So you know what? I'll check it out. Hey,
it's hard, man. The learning curve is extremely steep and it's unforgiving, but it's cool. Let me tell you, it is a sim in every detail that counts. You can put insurance on your ship in case it gets destroyed. That should tell you something.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Adam, go ahead, Clayton. Sorry.
I was gonna say it's a sim in all the ways that like a game like Mass Effect is not.
Yeah, but Mass Effect was more of just like duck and cover, and
Yeah.
it's kind of almost
should
like
say-
Gears of War.
Yeah. I'll shut up
So-
now.
No, it's good. It's good. It's a neat stuff. And like you said, it's definitely with that purchase, I think for sure getting back to the core was that we definitely will see a lot more Microsoft exclusives, I think, coming in the next year or two. That, like we said, that was the acquisition. I wonder if they'll do some more timed exclusives, even just to again get it out there, because they are in the business of selling games, even if it's going to be pushing consoles. But so who knows? But I mean, this keeping things going, like new games, releasing them immediately to Game Pass. If we want to discuss Game Pass, how it's taking over, it's really been a force.
Yeah.
And now Sony's trying to replicate it.
They're playing catch up.
Yeah,
for
basically trying to move past PlayStation Now and move into a new sort of a streaming service, so to speak.
You know what? Microsoft has always been ahead of Sony in online, though.
Yes.
Like they've always led that. They've always led that charge. They've always been ahead of that curve.
Yes, definitely. Like, I mean, Dreamcast, of course, was the first with a modem built into it, but it was dial up, like stock. And the original Xbox was the very first console. There it is. The Xbox original was the first with actual Ethernet ports. And even if you watched any of that Player One documentary that Xbox has released recently, for them, that was a huge gamble in the early 2000s. Not everybody was hooked up, but they knew that LAN was going to be coming. You can do like LAN parties with it. More people were moving to Ethernet, higher speed internet, and they put all their chips down on that. And of course, like the original Xbox Live was pretty decent. And then by the time it got going with 360 and into today's environment, like it's always been great.
Yeah. People scoffed at it because Sony was offering a free online service, and Microsoft charged you. Yes. But the offerings that were on Microsoft were always better. And the quality of the service was better because they weren't just taking that money and going out and just, pissing it against a wall. Yeah. They invested because that service was making the money. They invested money back into it. And so every generation it got stronger and stronger. Game Pass, I never thought actually before, if you'd asked me like 10 years ago, if I would base most of my library on a digital system. But I finally got Game Pass because every time I looked in the Microsoft store at a game that I wanted to play, I would see, oh, it's on Microsoft Game Pass. Oh, it's on Game Pass. Oh, it's on Gamecast. So every time I would think about buying a game, I would see that and I would think, well, if I ever do get Game Pass, I'm robbing value from that service for myself because I'm going to pay 50 or 60 bucks for this game when down the line, I'm going to get it for free. If I just pay that 15 bucks a month, just pay the 15 bucks. You know what I mean? Yep. And now I've got it and I've got all these games on my system, and there's a bunch of other little benefits to it too. Like it's been awesome. I'm totally impressed with it.
Well, and with it too, like you still get the games with gold games as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're just piling on games upon games with that service. Like it's insanely impressive. More and more just recently, like over on Svenny McGee channel there, I was talking about discussing a lot more of the backwards compatibility, and because of that, like my kids and I really started playing a lot more Xbox over the holidays and over the last like couple months. And I was telling you guys offline before, like we started playing like the Tomb Raider definitive edition, like we have disc on that and stuff. But so I haven't bought into Game Pass yet, but we are certainly playing more Xbox now than we have at any other point. And I still have an original Xbox One.
Go through the Game Pass library and look at all of the games that you want to play and see if they have the little pass symbol beside them, and then add all that value up.
Yes.
And the other thing is that if you already own those games, like there's a couple of games on Game Pass that I actually already own. All of the saving is done through the cloud. Yes. So when you download it on Game Pass, even if it's a game that you owned on the Xbox One, it will automatically download your saved data and you can continue off. You don't have to start the game all over from scratch.
Yeah.
Like that's cool.
That's
It
awesome.
was-
And I know it's just like I had before I've had a couple trials with Game Pass, couple weeks. So we've seen some. My nephew has it. So whenever the boys get together, they always play. And like there's always a dozen plus things you can immediately just be like, let's play this, let's play this. Like there's so many great games on Game Pass.
Yeah.
And yeah, and even I remember you mentioning before too. Like you said, if you own the game and it's like your saves, everything are clouded, but if you have the game on there and it's on Game Pass, now you don't even have to bother putting the disc in. It'll just the licensing is paid for through Game Pass, so it just plays like
it just plays it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
awesome.
been pretty awesome. It's like, well, it was kind of a waste of money that I went out and bought that game, but if they recently added it to Game Pass, it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Or is it a waste when you go and spend almost $100 on Near Replicant when it was on clearance for $29?
I spent like something like 100 or 150 hours on Near Replicant, so I got my money's worth.
I'm gonna get my money's worth too, but for $29.
I knew what I was getting when I bought that game. I was like, yeah, it still chaps my butt a little bit that I looked at that sticker and I was like, what the fuck? But it is what it is. So, second big prediction. Microsoft continues its awesome lead with Game Pass and continues to capitalize on it and use it. Because now if Sony's going to be playing catch up, like they could roll a system out and it'll probably pick up pretty fast, but Microsoft does have a pretty good they've been already doing it for what, 15 years? 20 years? Like they've worked that live system for sure.
The one thing that I'll say about Sony though is like they're not like not user, what am I trying to say? They're not consumer friendly, obviously.
They are not.
We've seen that. But what I will say to Sony's credit is all it will take Sony is one, like that's all how it's always been. Xbox has rolled, or Microsoft has rolled something out, everyone jumped on it. It was like, oh, it was the best thing since sliced bread. And then Sony drops something, and then like it's all about Sony again. And that's they talked about this on the other channel there. I'm not going to say their name. No, on ITG they were saying like all it is, yeah, exactly. ITG. But they were talking about like what will Sony's counterpunch be, and everyone thought at one time that it was going to be that partnership with Netflix, but that really nothing's come from that.
Yeah.
You
know, it's lots of it though with them. They perpetuate this idea that they're not consumer friendly. Like people wanted to change their Sony tags, their names. And it was like a 10-year thing. It was like, yeah, maybe we'll do it someday. Like, look, your customers want this. A lot of your customers want this. Your aging player base who when they first joined PSN, their name was Loves to Spooge 69420, has grown up and have decided, okay, I want to change it to, Robert Matthias, whatever, 1234 at gmail.com. And they don't want that college, they don't want that old college humor gamer tag anymore or handle.
Yeah.
And Sony's like, no. Your 12-year-old self chose this. You live with your decisions.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those little quality of life things. Like just let them do it. Why is it so hard for that to happen?
Even just like it's like Xbox with the Series X was quick to allow external, like a secondary
external hard drives.
Yeah. So external drives on the PS4, that took forever. That took like a long time to patch. And then even the SSDs on PS5, that took almost a year until Sony finally patched that in to allow new people to use a secondary one and be beyond just the 1 terabyte. So like you said, there are always hiccups. My thing with Sony, and again, like, I think I have effectively every Sony console, even the PlayStation TV. Like I have everything. Sony is a master of replicating what someone else has done. We've got, like hey, like,
Yeah.
original idea. But
Oh my God. What was their Smash clone name? Battle Royale something or other?
yeah,
All Stars.
PlayStation All
Battle
Stars.
Royale All Stars. Yeah. I was
Like,
like, oh man, you guys are tipping your hand.
Yeah, Sony will replicate everything, but will be the first to say I love the VR. I'm excited to see the new VR,
Yeah.
but I am mind blown that they're still investing in VR, because
You know what
you
though?
have like a PSP, a Vita, the TV, the Move, all these other things that basically Sony like tries to mimic what someone else is doing and then finally just pulls out and completely unsupports it. And what I'm concerned with is their new system here. We're going to go ahead with this new live streaming service, and if it doesn't just take off, is Sony just going to go, bah?
Well,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I do.
I don't think so. Not a live service. Live service, games as a service is as much as I don't want to say it, games as a service is going to end up being the future.
Yeah, I think they have to. I think they can't not make it work, but
maybe this iteration, like the first version of it won't be perfect, but they will figure it out because it's inevitable at this point.
I think you're right. I think they have to. Like, the thing is though, yeah, it's just I'd be surprised in the first year how much their heart's into it, type of thing. Now, we did see, I shared a link we saw there, Mark Cerny of Sony there patented basically the software, I believe it is, for backwards compatibility for PS5. So I'm not going to say that means disc, but it seems like they are really pushing to get these new emulators so that they can go and capture that. And of course, if they can bring in on this new live service, like basically Microsoft said they're done with backwards compatibility. We're not going to see too much more by means of 360 or original Xbox unless someone does it from home. Microsoft was the one basically taking charge of that. But unless a company decides, oh, we want to bring back this title from original Xbox, like, you're not going to see it. If Sony really pushes and captures a lot of original PS1, PS2, PS3 titles, like, it could really be a home run hit for Sony here.
The thing is, though, is that Microsoft doesn't really have to. They could kind of turn that switch off. They could flip it off and not worry about backwards compatibility for a while. But the fact is that it's baked into their technology.
Yes.
So if they want to, they could suddenly like open the floodgates again and be like, yeah, okay, backwards compatibility, let's go. Yeah. And Sony, like, so I applaud Sony for their approach to the VR as well. They pushed it hard when it first came out. You only ever see a couple of titles on the shelf, but that system keeps going, not because Sony puts a lot of money behind the marketing, but because the number of games that you can find on the shelf at an EB or a brick and mortar store pales in comparison to what the offerings are online.
Yes.
So people,
big time.
It's people who actually own the VR, who are looking for new experiences, who are trying out these games. And there are people who know that, like these devs who are making VR games know that. Sony doesn't have to worry about making VR obsolete. The people who are making the games, like the devs who are making the games available online, are keeping that fire alive. And we've got lots of stuff porting over from PC, not even not ports that push anything super spectacular, just stuff that you can do entry level VR. And Sony doesn't have to do any of the legwork, and it just keeps on going. And now they can work on the next iteration of the VR technology, and that fire is burning on its own. Yeah. You know what I mean? If they had to do all of the heavy lifting, Sony might have abandoned it, because even Xbox had their Kinect and it was just such a disaster that they ended up abandoning it. But they had no third-party support to carry that thing. You know what I mean? Everything was basically, I don't know, anything that wasn't first party really wasn't all that good.
Yeah. No, especially again, they do go over this in the player one, but I'm looking at mine right now, but I'm waiting to actually name it and say something like on, and then hear it just go blink. But
yeah,
it obviously the way they tied it in, it ran their system $100 more than the PS4 at launch.
Yeah.
That was a disaster. They really wanted to make it so you can Skype from your TV. You can make your TV like an entertainment station as opposed to a games.
The
station.
all-in-one set-top box.
Yeah, and that was really a poor focus. And then so once current CEO took over for Xbox there. Man, I can't believe I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me in like 2 minutes. But the current CEO, though, once he took over, the first thing he did was got the Kinect and drop it.
Talking about Todd Howard?
No,
that's Bethesda.
Oh yeah. See, that shows how much I know.
Phil Spencer? No,
yeah, Phil Spencer.
Yeah,
Phil Spencer.
Yeah. Once Phil Spencer took over, that was the first thing he did was get rid of the Kinect.
You know what though? What hung them like 360? Like Microsoft had all the good faith in the world going into the Xbox One's launch.
Yeah.
The reason that they got hamstrung was because they pushed that DRM online all the time thing.
That murdered
them. That instantly gave Sony, especially with their dickish presentation, which I gotta say was low-hanging fruit and a completely legal punch. When they did that presentation where the one person showed the other person how you lend games on the Xbox One, and then it shows all the DRM stuff, how you lend games on the PS4, hands them the disc.
Yeah,
like,
literally just here you go.
It was the same as the infamous PlayStation 299 speech.
Yeah.
Like just super straight ahead. Like brevity is the soul of wit, right? Like keep it super simple. Here you go, knockout punch. Yeah. And they totally killed him with that. So Microsoft has nobody but themselves to blame for that nonsense. And they have spent 2 generations fighting their way back. But ultimately, I think that's made Microsoft a better product. Like it is more consumer friendly. And right now, they do have the more powerful console. They just need the exclusives. Give me the exclusives. Give me the games that I can't play anywhere else.
Yeah. I think everything you said, the more I've been seeing from Xbox in the last little while here, everything, like you said, basically screams, we want you to have the best experience.
Yeah.
And I think that they're really, really, like you said, changing their trajectory here. And if they can really knock out some heavy exclusives, I don't know what titles those are going to be for 2022, but if they can really start to push those forward and keep Game Pass soaring, then I think they'll be going into a strong 2023.
I lost my last point, actually. Sorry, Brad, 1 second. The point that I was making there originally when I started out on that rant was that the Kinect wasn't what killed the Xbox One. It was the fact that they did the DRM only online. And if they would have had a better install base off the hop, Kinect might have been more popular. But as it was, they were second place and they were more expensive and they had to cut. They had to trim the fat in order to go. But Kinect was pretty cool emergent technology that would have been cool to see what they could have done with. And go, Brad.
So I was just going to say, so from like, we're obviously not going to see the VR2 this year, but I have a feeling we'll at least get an announced date, like a release date announcement. They had unveiled the prototype at a trade show on January 5th, something about consumer electronics show.
Oh, I see.
So I have a feeling if they've already done that, then we will see at least a release date, maybe some more games like Horizon VR looks incredible. Again, that's going to be something that you can probably get on both VRs. But it just looks amazing. Like I don't know what it's about, but like, is it a tie-in to 2 or like a prequel? Who knows? But so that's like, it's not a major prediction because I mean, it's like we talked about it. Like, I think that at the very least we'll get like an announcement, maybe a state of play or something for VR, because we're coming up on first quarter, we're in the first quarter, but I have a feeling there will be a state of play either February or March. That's another prediction.
No, and I think that's valid. Like you said, with the VR, like already by showing Horizons is going to have a VR thing, like there's already another exclusive for the system, for the console, for the headset specific. And like even like when I go through my games library and I'm picking up the odd titles here, like 100% the VR is going to steer whether I buy it currently for my Xbox One or my PS4. Like if I'm going to go get Resident Evil 7, yeah, 100% for the same value. If I'm buying it retail, I'm going to pay for the PS4 version so I could play the VR missions as opposed to playing it on my Xbox One. You know what I mean? So there always is that extra seemingly value by getting some of those VR titles over there. And I think that is a good leg that they have. So it's cool to see that they are going to invest in it. And this new unit that they're coming out with looks impressive. When you see it side by side, there's quite a few fields that it's actually going to be superior to some of the current ones today, like the Quest 2, etc. Wider, like better eye tracking, wider field of view, things like that. So and of course like better resolutions for eyes.
The one issue that I had with the PSVR was the cable. It was always in the way, and that's the one thing that I really like about the Quest.
Yes.
And or the Quest 2, because the Quest you have to hook up to a TV or a computer, but the Quest 2 is fully what's the freaking word?
Wireless.
It's standalone. That's what wireless standalone. And like I love it. My kids love Beat Saber.
My kids, so the thing about the PlayStation VR 2 is the fact that it's on consoles. It still has that wow factor enough that when people see that you have it, they still want to check it out. It's still rare enough that everybody wants it. And you can only get it on PlayStation, and you don't have to have a $6,000 PC rig. My kids, Beat Saber, you just said it. My kids had some of their friends over for a sleepover last night. They played Beat Saber all afternoon. Like all afternoon. I'm telling you, that's all I heard all afternoon. and they just love it, because they're like, oh, check this out, it's so cool. And it's one of those things where they can download new songs and whatnot. But just that VR exotic, it still has its exotic, that exotic air about it, right? So yeah, you're totally right. And the one thing that does hold it back is the wires. Let's get rid of those, because they're down here playing Beat Saber. Jackie and I are playing 2-player mode on Sonic 2 on the Genesis. And I can't tell you, going back to wired controllers, how much of a hindrance it is. The console is suspended halfway between us and the TV because the remote lines are like this long.
Yeah.
But yeah, wireless is a big sell actually. So if Sony makes their PSVR 2 headset wireless, I'm in for that.
Yeah, I believe they have confirmed it is wired.
Is it wireless? Oh, it is wired.
It is wired.
For mine though, I'm hanging my line from the ceiling. I'm just gonna put a little eye hook up there, and I'll just hang the line up there, and whatever.
Actually, not a bad idea, really.
So Adam, you've got all that Nintendo stuff behind you. Do you have any predictions for Nintendo this year? Because we haven't really
predicted anything.
But everything that's come out lately with the apart from certain titles like Shin Megami Tensei 5, it's all been ports.
Yes.
Majority have been ports. What do you think Nintendo is going to do this year, if anything?
There's been a lot of hubbub lately about Mario Kart 9. So actually getting a brand new Mario Kart version
with a twist.
Yeah. So we'll see what that leads to. That's always a popular thing. Last year, we did get a brand new installation of Mario Party. So although it was obviously taking favorite maps from Nintendo 64, etc., but it was a new Mario Party. So in general, though, I understand why they did what they did by porting so many Wii U titles.
Well, because the Wii U was such a flop. Now make sure you check out our podcast about why the Wii U failed, because that is the most watched video that I have. So next to our chat with Katie.
Yes. No, and I think we really touched all the major bases there. I think it was an excellent podcast. My Wii U still remains in my top 5 favorite consoles. Like,
that's my daughter's favorite system.
Yeah, my kids and I, we still play it. We have it hooked up. We still play it all the time. We love it. But
obviously, look at all the ones behind you.
I've only got 3 of them right there. No big. But the thing is, though, like you said, like so many of the core ports and even third-party titles all made it over to the Switch because there was a bigger installation base there. So they just up converted. So now I think, like you said, we're getting to the point, like we did get Metroid Dread, right? Everybody was excited and that's done well. So it's what can come next. Like, I think everybody be ready for another Punch-Out. Are we gonna get another Mario adventure? Breath of the Wild 2, will that come out this year? People have been going nuts for that. Any new Zelda property would be awesome, like any iteration of it, if it wasn't a direct sequel. But from what we've seen, it looks good. Pokemon, the open world Pokemon, Arceus. The new Pokemon is coming out.
It's so, the Pokemon Go without having to actually go outside.
That's
Pokemon
right.
Stay.
And for some reason, like they absolutely are doubling down on that. We're getting that new open world Kirby coming in another month as well.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that actually.
And, is that an AR? Is that an AR title?
No, it's like, what is it? The Forgotten Worlds or something?
Yeah, something that.
Let's see. Kirby. Keep talking.
It is complete open world. So you're going to run around in a 3D space and go and fight people. And you're supposed to try and save all the Waddle Dees.
The Forgotten Lands. Sorry.
Forgotten Lands.
Like Sonic Frontier.
Yeah, but probably better.
Crickets.
Yeah, I was just going to say, but hopefully with better fanfare.
Yeah.
And because of my little guy, like we've been playing I started getting into so many Kirby titles here. Like he's become like one of our favorite mascots in gaming. Yeah. So I don't know if I might wait a little bit before picking that one up brand new, but I could see that
you could probably wait 5 years and it will not go down in price.
No doubt. It's Nintendo.
It'll always still be an $80-$90 title.
Like I was fortunate enough to grab Shin Megami Tensei 5. I don't know if it was a mistake, but Amazon, they don't make mistakes. They actually had it on Boxing Day for $10 off. So I was like, I'm jumping on it. It's a phenomenal game. But all the titles, like I was shocked to see 25% off on their titles.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they did do finally a market jump there around Black Friday through to Boxing Day, but they I don't know, with Nintendo it's hard to say. Everybody was really banking on a Switch Pro, and then when
we got the OLED,
when they even did it was like some LCD LED convention, specs were coming out about a new Nintendo Switch at the time. So that's when people were like, hot dog, here we go, there is a new one, there's new patents, it was announced at this show quietly, but it was, so let's go. And all it ended up being was the OLED.
And to be fair to Nintendo, though, they never officially confirmed. That was like everyone jumping on the rumor mill, like, and then they were upset that the rumor didn't come true.
So you know what though, like realistically, it's not like it wouldn't be a really great time for Nintendo to release a new console
with a little bit late,
with uncertainty of the pandemic, the recentness, like the recent launches of the other two consoles. Like it's tight. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So maybe they're just playing their hand close to their chest. You know what I mean? Like they're keeping their cards close. Maybe they do have one in the works, but they're just like, you know what? Not yet. And now, since they have to push it out, maybe they've gone back to the drawing board and they're going to because they're looking at their next console. They've got to be. If they're not already, they will be soon.
Yeah, no,
because how long has the Switch been out for now?
What was it? Was that about
2015?
Like that's a long. That is long. Those are long legs for a console.
I'd say 7 years, maybe.
7 years.
Nintendo Switch was March 3rd, 2017.
Okay, so let's say 5 years.
We're coming into the 5th year. That's
yeah. So they're not going to release like a second half, like a Switch 2.0 or whatever. If they're not doing that, then they are definitely already looking at their next console. They have to be.
Yeah.
Because it takes years to develop a console.
Yeah.
So they've got something going on, regardless of whatever it is.
I think I think that really you've nailed it, because why everybody else, like, we can really get into this one, but like when Sony has recently announced they're ramping up production of the PS4 because they're struggling to make PS5 so badly.
Yeah.
That tells you like they're struggling. Like it's a known fact. We just don't see these consoles on the shelf. So for Nintendo to suddenly, like you said, double down on a new release of something and then not get it out there, not like Nintendo, floods the market with these there's always a shortage of them anyways, no matter what. But
yeah,
I see it. The OLED just, it still boggles my mind that like for handheld mode, it has the most superior screen, but they actually sell a console that is handheld only. Like,
yeah.
Like I don't know. It's such a weird thing. Like, why wouldn't you make, if you're gonna make OLEDs like that, why not make bigger, better switch
dock
lights?
switches?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, why not double down on the OLED for the ones that are going to play handheld only and then sell it for in between price or something? I don't know, but it's selling, it's going. People like, we have a regular Nintendo Switch in this house. I don't have a light, and we would play handheld, but we're not going to play handheld only. And to me, that just cripples a lot of the features. A lot of games you can't play handheld only. So I just, it's not for me, the Switch Lite. And the OLED is just not enough there for me to say I have to go out and get this newer model just because it's about a half an inch bigger in an OLED screen,
Well, the reason I wouldn't buy a Lite is the same reason that I wouldn't buy a Xbox Series S. Because for that extra $100 or $200, you get the superior product. If you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to spend that chunk of change, get the best version possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like going halfway, unless you absolutely have to have it right now and you can't afford it. Like why? I don't know why anybody would stop at the halfway point and buy the technologically inferior product.
Yes. No,
and inferior doesn't mean it's a bad thing or whatever. It just means that it has less features, blah, 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 blah. But you're almost already all the way there. Just save your pennies and go the whole distance.
Yeah. Even I've seen like people similarly saying like, I bought a PS5 discless version just because it was the one available, but I would have got the disc version. Well, okay. Why? I mean, you're going to be spending, even if you're just playing just retail, if you're going to wait and buy the disc version, like you're going to be paying like, what, $1,200, like MSRP.
What I'll say about that though is the disc version of the PS5 is the same power as the PS5, not like the Xbox.
Microsoft didn't do that.
Microsoft did a smaller system, like with less capability, less storage space. Like the diskless for the PS5 is still 1 terabyte, well, 856 gigs because but nothing changed besides the fact that they knocked $100 off the price because there's no disc reader.
Yes.
Yeah. See, so what with Microsoft and Nintendo, they both went that route where there are different specs, different options available besides just like Nintendo's ability to dock and Microsoft's ability to use discs.
Yeah.
Like there's more than just that.
I will acknowledge that the S and the diskless PS5 aren't 1-to-1, but the point still remains.
No, exactly.
Why would you suddenly like, because you're impatient and you can't find the current model, you'll not pay, like, fine, I'll pay the $100 less and buy the diskless version, even though you wanted the version with the discs to still play PS4.
Get the thing you want, man.
So
get
now
your money's worth.
Exactly. So later on, you're going to end up buying the other version with the disc, and now you're like $1,200 in retail.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. So what I don't want to happen in 2022, and this goes back to what I had talked about with my prediction of God of War. I don't want God of War, and I don't want Horizon to suck. And I don't think that they will. But everybody has this high hope. I'm gonna call it the cyberpunk syndrome. Like everyone's like all gung ho, like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. I can't wait. Like there's always I'm like 90% confident that they're not gonna be like bad, but I think everybody's got this high expectation because both of those games knocked it out of the park. I growing up, I didn't find any allure to God of War. I didn't enjoy the older stuff. And then I saw this one and I'm like, okay, great. He's in Norse times now and he's still going to be angry. And it was complete opposite. Like this was kind of almost an open world.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal. And it's the same thing with Horizon. I wasn't sold on Horizon at first, and then I started playing it and it was like, wow, this is really incredible. And Cyberpunk, everyone was amped for, and then it was delayed, and then it was delayed. Now, delays are sometimes a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I think at one point there was a rumor that God of War was supposed to come out last year. Horizon was supposed to come out last year and they pushed it because there was a couple things they wanted to fix. And so, but again, whereas CDPR is still considered an indie studio, they're not like they've made a couple AAA titles, but they're not a AAA studio yet, in my opinion. Whereas Santa Monica Studios and what's the name for Horizon? What is
Guerrilla?
They're AAA studios.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna have the full backing of Sony. If Sony, if they say, hey, look, we don't think that this is going to, like, something just isn't working for this, we need a little bit more time, Sony's gonna say okay. Whereas like CDPR, they're backed by investors who said, no, you've pushed it a year now, you've pushed it 16 months, this has to come out. And then look what happened. So I don't think that these games aren't going to do well. I think they're going to do phenomenal, but I think that people's expectations of them are unrealistic.
I think that in the case of God of War, and I'm going to tell you this as a God of War fan from the day that the first one came out, I loved God of War intensely. It lived through the whole historical biopic movie craze. It lived through what was it, 300, all of those type of ancient warrior clade type movies when they were big and popular in media. And I loved the original God of War games, all of them. I played them all to death. The only one that wasn't super great was Betrayal. It was on BlackBerry. I bought a BlackBerry to play it. So that should tell you like how serious I am about God of War. Now, having said that, God of War 2018 is actually my least favorite God of War game. But we're talking about a matter of degrees here. I like the old violent Kratos, but I understand why Sony Santa Monica took him to the next level, because they're beyond the WWE level things that were happening to Kratos in his life, where it was just this huge soap opera where you're like, you killed my brother. There wasn't a whole lot of character development there. There was no like real redemptive arc for him. He just always stayed angry, and he always got his way by being angry. So it was cool to see them move him, to a deeper, make him a father, dad of boy, to make him a deeper character. But I feel like I liked the original violence. I still am going to play Ragnarok when it comes out.
Absolutely.
I'm still absolutely going to love it. Like when I say that it's my least favorite, like I said, that's my least favorite by degrees. It's the lowest on my list, or the second lowest on my list of God of War games, but it's still a fucking God of War game, and it's still going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So I am really looking forward to it too, actually. I guess I have complicated. I'm in a complicated relationship with God of War at the moment. It's complicated.
So that's your Facebook setting with you and then
with me and God of War. Yeah, it's complicated.
I honestly, everything that they've shown from Horizon, I think this game is it's going to be on everybody's mouth in another month. I think everyone's going to be talking about it. It looks fantastic. The graphics, everything they're doing here. Aloy's a likable character, beautiful worlds, open worlds. Really, again, the only thing with the first one when it came out the only thing that everybody talked about was that it was great. Everyone loved the installation. It just wasn't Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, traversal.
Yeah, that comparison was there, but again, you were pairing a brand new IP with one that's been around for 30 years.
The
So
80s.
Like it was just it is what it is. But now that this one's going to be coming out, it's looking fantastic. We're getting more story building in that world. I think it's going to be a knockout. I think guaranteed.
They're both going to sell like hotcakes for sure.
Yeah, I think this one has to come out with, like, unless it's like an absolute buggy disaster, I think the studios know what they're doing. They're usually delivering pretty strong stories here, things like that. So I think this one looks great. The gameplay looks fantastic. The way she's moving about and she's firing arrows and sliding and ducking and I think it looks great. Same with God of War. Again, there's an IP now that's been going for years now, like probably close to 20 years and 15 years maybe, but it's really been building for a while here. And I think this next one here, this next installation is going to go well as well. Like, they have to do something like shocking with the story, or like upsetting, or again deliver some form of bugs. And I don't remember any of these installations coming out and being like, you can't even play this, like, it's got his brutal tank controls, like you can't move them. Like, they're usually pretty fluid. The fight systems were strong. So I think God of War, again, same thing. I have high expectations of it. And yeah, like you said, Brad, like that's the problem when you're sitting at the top here is, when we have Breath of the Wild 2 coming out, like, if it doesn't take what Breath of the Wild did and make minor improvements, there'll be some people complaining, but people will still be happy to be going back to that lane.
People are going to complain about any video game at any given time. That's
basically all that game is going to have to do is make minor improvements, and it will sell fucking incredibly.
Yes.
Like, yes. I don't know. I don't, Brad, you didn't like Breath of the Wild. I fucking loved it. Like, I spent so much time on that game. Like, I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I loved going with the shrine stuff like that. I know people like, I'm not the type that will actually like lose sleep about, I don't want to say cheating, but like, I didn't have to like mine everything either. Like, I have a whole flurry of amiibos. So I use those, and I use them like stink. And I got tons of weapons, tons of armor, tons of pickups and foods and things like that. So I didn't have to spend all the additional hours going around and farming it. If I had weapons that broke, I had an inventory stock on me. So I was never too worried about things like that. I loved scanning in the Twilight amiibo and bringing the wolf with me to help me like go on missions and fight and stuff like that. Like, there was a lot of cool things they did with that, and I'm looking forward to the next installation there.
Me too.
But like you said, it is what you kind of made of it too. Like, if you really wanted to just mosey around and enjoy the landscape, you could. But then once they start to allow fast travel through to the different stops, things like that, that was a huge move too. So I think this next one, like you said, it'll do well. Maybe they'll do some of the things. The breakable weapon seems to be the biggest complaint from fans. So maybe if they'll just add a little bit more durability.
A little bit more durability would be nice. But like you said, I found, like, I was a shrine whore. So I just, that's what I made it my mission to do. I just went everywhere doing shrines. I had like as much of the map uncovered at any given time as I possibly could. So I always had ancient halberds and ancient swords and ancient this and ancient that, right? And then once you get the master sword, you're like, okay, well, then now it's just got a cooldown. It doesn't actually break, so you're good to go,
Yeah.
So it wasn't that bad for me, but I love that game.
Yeah. So I don't know. Who knows if we'll see anything with that this year? They've been pretty quiet about it. They've hinted they're still going, but we didn't really see. Was there anything at the Game Awards about it? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
They just show another world premiere. Didn't they just show like another like title card or something? That was it.
Yeah. Just
there were two between all the world premieres. I think a lot of stuff got lost because it was always make a joke world premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's like you said. I think that was it. It was maybe just a title card. Like we're still working on it, guys. But I mean, like I don't know how well it's sold, but like having the Breath of the Wild tie-in, that prequel with the Hyrule Warriors there, like
Yeah.
I think people enjoyed again playing in that realm. So now we'll have 3 titles in that same world for a Zelda game. Like that's pretty nuts as far as Zelda games go. Like that's something,
It took what 20 years for Link Between Worlds to be a direct sequel to a Zelda game.
Like it's great.
Well, and that was just like I don't know if they were just following the graphics, but to me it almost seemed like Wind Waker, Phantom
Hourglass,
and it seemed like they all followed each other.
Yeah, they did too, actually.
Because the pirate, it was, spoiler alert, it was Zelda, but like she was in all of them.
Yeah.
So
I believe those were in the same world, even though
you're right.
They were different consoles, but they were all in the same as well.
I'm ashamed. Perpetrating misinformation. So we should talk about at least one like industry-wide trend in 2022, and this is the one that I was thinking of that I don't want to see in 2022. NFTs being forced into games.
Yeah, I knew this. I had a feeling this was coming up, and
like, fuck you, Ubisoft, get out of here, knock it off. Sorry, I don't like.
You know what I will say is I don't have much to say because, like, NFTs for me is like parents for video games. Every single system was Nintendo. When I hear NFT, I think of Bitcoin, and I'm out. I'm like Dragon's Den, and I'm for that reason I'm out.
Yeah, like you don't know enough about it, but that's the thing, right? And that is the exact thing right there. NFTs are not well known enough about the public. Who buys video game consoles? Public. It's more specifically parents. So kids are going to be jumping onto this NFT train. It's just loot boxes. It's the next loot box craze. Yeah. Parents are going to be racking up all these costs and these NFT costs, and kids are going to be just buying them up like hotcakes, getting everything all set up. And they're basically just taking advantage of the general public's lack of knowledge and ignorance on an emergent form of currency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you said, if anybody hears, NFTs, aren't those supposed to be those things that are be worth a lot of money? Well, if we can get some in the game, why don't we do it? Yeah, like you said, it could be disastrous in that front. And like you said, if it's going to end up being like this sort of a loot box thing where it just, again, you're just making digital purchases, but if you don't actually retain anything out of it, then what's the point? Like,
exactly.
And there's
nothing. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, to sell it into the guise of an NFT versus just like, here's DLC. Do you want it or not? Like, it's an NFT, so it might be actually worth something if you get this particular one. Like that's a bogus thing, you know?
Exactly. It's a loot box.
Yeah.
But you know what's more discouraging is the fact that people who are in the know are like, hey, we can see that you're trying to pull some shady shit here. So why don't you guys just knock it off? And then Ubisoft's like, we're doing it. They are here. We're doing it. Get used to it. We don't care if you want it or not. Now buy our shit. You know what I mean? They're forcing stuff in. I guess there's been a couple of stories where people have like the backlash on it has been so huge that certain devs have said, okay, well, no, we'll just pull it. I'm pretty sure that Stalker 2, actually, the devs for Stalker 2, I can't remember who they are. I was watching a channel the other day and they were talking about it, and I'm pretty sure that they pulled back on their original proposed roadmap for NFTs involved in the game. And I'm do your own research. Go look.
Yeah,
that's I can just point you in that direction, but it's a real problem that's on the horizon, and there's a lot of people who are like sounding the alarm bells because we just got through the whole loot box fiasco.
Yeah.
Before that, it was horse armor.
Yeah.
We don't want horse armor again. Nobody wants horse armor. Take your fucking horse armor.
So with this though, like, is there going to be some form of an online trading store or something? Like, let's say if
I
they
don't know.
trade it into a game and you get a unique item that you can't get elsewhere because it's an NFT, can you actually then sell it within game to other people?
I honestly don't know. Like, I
'Cause
don't
then-
know. I don't know if you can take it. I'm sure you must. If it's an NFT, you must be able to take it out of the game. But like I said, even I hear a lot about this from our kids, and I haven't actually looked into the whole thing myself. I've had some people tell me I should get into it and this and that, but I haven't had a chance to really look into it. But I can see that it's a for money service that is essentially. I'm curious about what backs it. Like, they tell you that it's worth, the only thing that you have to go on to tell you that it's worth something is Ubi, is the developer, is whoever is installing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do we, and even there, every answer I can't give you right now is an example of your typical person my age. What is an NFT? I don't know. I have the money to spend on it, but I don't have the knowledge about it. And that ignorance is what is going to drive, is what's going to allow Ubisoft to drive that into games going into 2022. Like, I don't want them in there.
Yeah. Like,
You know,
you said,
unless they can be explained in a way that, you know, I'm not going to feel ripped off. You know?
Yeah, I could imagine if you were buying a skin, but it was unique, it was tagged, like that's whatever they call a non-fungible token, but like
Non-fungible tokens, yeah.
so if it's like specific to that one character skin or something, and then you can sell that one skin knowing no one else in the world has it because yours is the NFT, yours is the original, yours is the thing, then yeah, they have to create some form of a marketplace so you could trade skins around. But then again, like you said, the value remains there so long as somebody actually cares to buy it off of you. You know, like, and if it's in a game that's popular enough, that's going to allow you to do it. I don't know.
For everybody who is watching this, for the dozens of you at home, the actual definition of an NFT is a non-fungible token. It is a non-interchangeable unit of data stored on a blockchain, a form of a digital ledger. NFTs can also be associated with reproducible digital files such as photos, videos, and audio. NFTs have seen some use as speculative security and as a means of money laundering. It sounds to me like maybe no bueno.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. I have the general idea that an NFT is basically like the original file, and there's a way to code it so it's the original file. But that's what I mean. I don't know how they're going to use it in games, except for if they start to say like, this is a skin that no one else can get, and you are the only one to get it. And if you want to now keep it, it's yours. And if you want to sell it, we've marked it so that you can. But like, I don't know. They'd have to make a marketplace for you to actually be able to sell it to someone else. Otherwise, who cares? Like, what are you going to do? Like, just keep making social media posts? Like, I got this and no one else has this. The guy has the black blazer instead of the brown one everyone else has. Like, like, what's the point? I don't know.
I know. I'm not a skins guy either. So like NFTs, like I'm kind of just starting to look into them now, but it seems to me like this is almost a predatory move.
Yeah.
They're looking to take advantage, and that bothers me because like I said, we just got over the whole loot box thing, right? They're gonna have to do whatever they can to kind of legislate this or figure out a way to try and control it, which they haven't been able to do with other things like Bitcoin and whatnot. Like, legislation on them is hairy to say the least because it's so recent.
Yeah.
So that for me, industry wide, is the single most troubling thing coming down the pipe until we know more as a culture about it. Because the people who are in the know, like the people who know. They're the ones who are going to push the devs to say, yeah, get them in there because these things are the future. But the only thing that we have to go on is the fact that they're saying, yeah, these things are the future.
Yeah. And they want our money to do it. So
exactly. Because the money's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely something we should put a pin in and keep tabs on and see where it comes in 6 months from now and what we're looking at.
Anything you hope for that or hope doesn't happen, Adam?
I like you said, I hope that this remains a good year for all parties. I mean, we do have our mains and we do have our our generalized favorites, but like really, like as long as there's competition amongst the big three here, it's best for everybody. So Xbox, keep doing what you're doing, keep the Game Pass going. We want to see some more exclusives. Sony, you've got a couple big titles coming. You've got the new hardware coming with the VR, so more on all of those fronts. And Nintendo, like the Switch is still selling well. It still remains up there. The OLED model's good. I'd be curious to see. I'm still banking on like what Clayton said, that there is going to be a Switch 2.0 coming. I think this version, since it's touching both handheld and home so well, I don't think we're going to get another handheld to come out and compete. We're done. We're past the 3DS. They're all ceasing production, things like that. So I could see that this remains. I could just see them updating the spec. And if they do, that's where you'd get into like hopefully, everybody's had poor naming conventions at one time or another. So hopefully that this doesn't just become like new Nintendo Switch and start to confuse the market. But
just a little joystick button on the bottom of the controller.
Yeah. But even when it does, like there were some like I was showcasing Minecraft and some other titles, Xenoblade Chronicles. There were some titles that were new 3DS specific, would not run on original 3DS.
Yeah.
Even though the cartridges were all there, things like that. So I could see did I say Xenoblade? I meant Xenosaga. Yeah.
Xenosaga.
Yeah.
No, Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. Yes.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I could see a Switch 2.0 coming eventually. I don't know that we'll hear anything about it in 2022, or if we do, it'll just be like keep your eyes peeled for the future when chips are coming, etc. But it'll still support all Nintendo Switch cartridges and just allow for updates. So
awesome.
That'd be nice.
What do you think, Brad?
I mean, we've all hit everything point wise. I don't know. I agree. I think it's with the Switch 2.0, like, I mean, less is more sometimes. So it's just a matter of like, I would really like to see Nintendo crank out some like not even new IPs, but like you had said before, new games from like Mario or whatever. Like I love the Switch right now because they're porting over a lot of role-playing games, and I can take I could take my PS5 to the camp, but like why? I mean I can take my handheld, I can put it off to the side. Like it was actually just recently announced that Persona 4 is coming to the Switch, and like I have it on the Vita, but it's again physical collector. I gotta have the Switch version. I'm like Clayton buying Nier Replicant for a full price. I'll pay full price for Persona 4, but like
I don't regret that purchase.
Not even
a little bit.
But I would love to see Nintendo crank out some more like not even necessarily heavy hit titles, but just more consistency. Like don't get away from the porting, because like they're taking all of like from like their own versions of the Vita stuff. Persona, like Ys, or if you call it Wise, I call it Ys.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff is making its way to the Switch because Sony gave up on their product. But yeah, for Nintendo, I would love to see more original stuff.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, eventually, if you don't update your hardware, and everyone's already moved from 1080 to 4K, basically, so you will run into the Wii U problem where you're left behind. And the Xbox One and the PS4, nobody wanted to port their games to the Wii U. No one wanted to incorporate the tablet. No one wanted to do that stuff. So the Nintendo Switch, I think we're still a couple years off from that. So long as basically the Xbox still has to support the One and the PS5 still has to support the PS4, I think the Switch will remain relevant. But one day it could come where people aren't porting. Like right now, we're getting, even like you said, like a lot of old ports being brought over fresh to the Switch, but that will get old eventually, like you said, if there aren't new titles. But this year, like we said, there's rumors of a new Mario Kart coming. We just got Metroid Dread. There's a new Pokemon coming, open world. There's a new Kirby.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
They do have some stuff in the pipe. So, and we do, there's talk of the Breath of the Wild, stuff like that. So at least they're supporting it strong on the first party means, which is, what they always do.
That is Nintendo.
But if you want to maintain to see that from third parties, eventually they're probably going to have to look to upgrade the hardware. I think we'll get through 2022 just fine, Nintendo wise.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Does anybody have anything else to add? Because I have supper waiting for me shortly. So.
Yeah, I was going to say here in Ontario, we're looking at kids returning to school and stuff.
Yeah.
So everybody's fine. We got kids going back tomorrow. Everybody's getting
what
ready.
I will say, this is like completely off topic, but I am shocked that the government didn't do some emergency press conference BS over the weekend.
Yeah.
So many people were expecting it. So many people were expecting it. Now it sounds like Southern Ontario might even have a snow day tomorrow because there's something about 30 inches of snow or something coming.
It could be 1 inch of snow and they would still call it.
There could be a
day.
centimeter of snow, and now last minute would call in the army.
A couple of weeks ago,
that already happened.
A couple of weeks ago, no shit, up here it rained and they had a snow day. It fucking rained
because they were probably expecting it to freeze.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of clouds outside, and it's gonna rain today. No,
but
kids can stay home.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up with kids going back to school. Sucks to be you, but get a good education because that's very important.
Or listen to the podcast during class.
Or you could do that too, and you could listen to all the F-bombs and all that stuff. And then when your teacher starts talking about NFTs, you can revert back to Clayton doing this from Ubisoft. All right, guys. Well, as always, drop your socials.
I don't even know. Iron _ hobo _ at _ hobo _ I don't even know.
Isn't it the _ iron _ hobo?
Yeah. Lots of fresh art on there on my Instagram all the time.
And maybe a YouTube channel called Clay and Jack or something.
Yeah, but it'll be more fun. Like, because there's gonna be I film my failures.
Hey. We're still waiting on Briefcase Guy.
Part of it's done.
Part of it.
I got the whole figure and everything done. I just got to figure out a good background for it. I got a couple of.
Well, he works at Home Hardware, if that helps.
Yeah, well, I had the I originally had the Caruso Club background, but I wasn't really feeling it, and it's just been over Christmas and stuff. I haven't had a chance to get through it, but.
Just raining money behind him, I think, is
or just do a GameStop kind of thing because he's there every Saturday like clockwork. Like I think they have his entrance down to the second. They're like, oh, it's 10:36 a.m. Glenn will be here shortly.
Yeah.
We love you, Glenn.
We love you, Glenn.
Adam,
you can find me, Svenny McG, across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and especially on YouTube, where I am so close to narrowing in on the 1,000 subscribers over there. So,
and guys, he can make some money if 35 of you please go over to that channel and just even if you don't like the material, just help this man get some freaking money.
Right. Nobody likes 965 people don't like Svenny McG, but they subscribe and you can too.
For 1 sub a day, you can feed a starving YouTube host for less than the cup of a coffee a day.
I'll still spend it on a sports game. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah. Madden 94. Here's my dollar.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Near Replicant. Here's $105.
You're fucking right.
That's right.
Classic. Can't put a price on classic.
Actually, one thing
You
that I
can.
will say, I was actually really surprised to see Biomutant on clearance. It's not a bad.
It's not a bad game.
It's
yeah.
not great, but like THQ Nordic has actually done some pretty decent titles, but that'll be for another podcast. Glenn actually told me that I should do a full video on my game room because it's not big, but like a lot of the stuff they have, there is some history behind it. So I'm thinking about how I could do that, because like I thought a 59-second video was enough. I had originally shot 3 minutes, but I had to cut a lot of it out to make that video, and I can't even get it as a damn short. So, but we will wrap up there. We will see you next time. I'm actually waiting to hear back. I messaged our season 2 premiere guest, Mark Meir, who's coming. It's just a matter of when everything can line up. He asked me to send him a reminder today, and he's going to get me a picture of, unless Rob's already done a shepherd, but he wants shepherd zombied. So he's going to send me what he can come across, and we'll take it from there. But if we don't have him on shortly, then obviously we'll be doing something else. I know Clayton has probably 6 hours to talk about Dune. So thanks for everybody watching. Take care.